Ms. Cheryl Chan, next cut, please.
Sir, climate change is fast happening with tangible consequences keenly felt by many worldwide. In the pursuit of meeting net zero emissions by 2050, several countries have adopted carbon pricing to different extent, with this mechanism likely to be a global norm in time to come. While carbon pricing could be one of the levers towards achieving net zero emissions, there are a few clarifications on Singapore's plan that I wish to seek. Could the Ministry outline in further details on the considerations and roadmap underpinning this net zero target? As carbon emission varies across the industries and each sector has differing operational needs and product lines that result in GHG emission, is the intent to begin with sector-specific approach or to have industries across the board to provide proposals on their efforts in reducing GHG at each site over a specified time period? Further, will companies be identified in the value chain and efforts be coordinated through the ministry to enable scale-up efforts in accelerating the decarbonisation process and possibly enabling the sharing of costs in platforms or tools that can assist players within the same industry to benefit from the economy of scale? As businesses begin to internalize the cost of carbon price impact versus the implementation cost of actions to reduce emissions, how will the government ensure that the GHG reduction impact is properly measured and accounted for with respect to the target set at each interval? Will further review be conducted to validate if the revised carbon tax level is deemed adequate at 2026 or 27 to achieve the target set? Without our own power sources, our reliance on natural gas meant that the energy supply is a large carbon source that we need to actively consider to decarbonize. Today, we are looking at different forms of renewables, solar sources locally and hydropower overseas. For the solar capacity that are announced to be available in Singapore, will the full capacity be channeled into the grids as part of the energy mix, and are the power producers actively working on large-scale electricity storage to harness as much of the power generated, without which the process to reduce energy source from low carbon to green supply will always be impeded? I've also previously mentioned the move towards green-friendly practices may be easier for the large corporations who have the resources and expertise to do so. And for our SMEs, they will have real tangible costs to them. As we emerge from the pandemic, besides financial grants, will the ministry be looking at other options to help the SMEs embark on the sustainability topic in the decade ahead? And finally, the rationale of a carbon tax is to shift behaviours and mindsets to nudge businesses to rethink their existing way of operations and to become more sustainable. A mechanism should be implemented to prevent the carbon tax from being fully passed on to consumers, especially if the goods being consumed is a necessity. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of making corporates take ownership in decarbonising their footprint. A possible mechanism that I can suggest could be on the power generation companies to tier the costs being passed down to households based on usage. For example, with the first 400 kilowatt hour having no carbon tax passed on, and a subsequent tier percentage to be determined by the energy market authorities of the carbon tax allowable to be passed on for every 100 kilowatt hour thereafter. This would ensure that the households that are conserving energy and using electricity within the national average level are not penalised. Thank you.